That's a really good tip. Let's show you some love for that. Awesome. You guys are cool. All right, so let's talk about holiday weight gain danger. All right, so as we get started, this is kind of the way I feel every year, right? So at the end of summertime, your belt is on that loop or on that circle at the very end, and then Halloween rolls around, and it's kind of gotten cool weather, and you're starting to eat that comfort food, right? And then Thanksgiving happens, and how many of you give me how many of you out there can kind of relate to this. Then Thanksgiving happens, and you've got to loosen the belt another hole, and then Christmas happens, and you've got sad faces going on out there. True. I mean, it is kind of sad sometimes that happens. Then the New Year rolls around, and you kind of let it out again, and then the last hole in the belt is the get your butt to the gym hole, right? So anyway, that I can relate to that. I don't know if you guys can relate to that or not, but I definitely do. So anyway, we're going to talk about how to deal with some of that tonight. I think a lot of you that are out there that are going to be on tonight, based on who I really invited, are going to know me. But just a little bit about me, real fast. I'm married with two awesome kids. That's why I do what I do. Is whether it's my own personal health and fitness. My belt has been stored away for months. Thanks for legging trends. I like that. The problem with the leggings trend and men, well, I think I would look kind of funny wearing leggings around. So anyway, so yeah, I do all I do really for my family and to help inspire others. And that's the next thing. I get to live my dream of impacting the lives of thousands. And that's not something that just happened. That's something that I had to work toward. I had to help. I had to kind of create that in my life. And then personally, I've been able to help over 2,000 people lose more than 40,000 pounds. So that's pretty exciting stuff. And I've lost over 90 pounds myself. So I know how to do it. I know how to navigate the holidays. A few years ago, I actually made a challenge and put it out there that I would lose weight throughout the holidays. And so from the beginning of November until January 1, I lost just over 10 pounds. And at that time, I really didn't have a whole lot of weight to lose, but it can be done. You can do it, and you can navigate the holidays. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So what we're going to cover, we're going to talk about the dangers of holiday weight gain. We're going to talk about 5 tips on how to avoid the weight gain. We're going to talk about one quick tip about mindset and how to get your mind right, because we can give all the tips in the world, but if you don't have something that kind of clicks in your mind, then it may not matter how many tips I give. So I'm going to give you the holiday mindset as well. And then I'm going to finish with a little bit about how we can help, something that fun we've got going on that you can do at the end. So we'll rock and roll through this. So here's the danger, holiday weight gain. How many of you feel this way sometimes? It's the holiday season. Don't forget to set your scales back 10 pounds at midnight tonight. So based on that, though, how much weight do you typically gain during the holidays? I mean, what number comes up in your head, right? So I don't know what number comes up in your head. I don't know exactly what you think that you typically gain. I've seen studies that say the average American gains 1 to 2. I feel like that's a little low. I've seen other studies that say the average American gains between 5 and 10 pounds per year. But the question is really, is that, so that's the average. Is that just anecdotal? I mean, are those just kind of stories? Is that just what people kind of say, even though that's not really what's happening out there? So it's kind of interesting to think about. Is it legit? I mean, are those numbers legit? So let me ask you a question, okay? So if you are, well, let's do this. Let's do this, okay? Here's the real, let me go back a slide. Here's the real danger of holiday weight gain. And I want you to hear this. And this is kind of serious, y'all, because the real danger of holiday weight gain, whether it's 1 pound, 2 pounds, or 5 pounds, is studies have shown that what we gain during the holidays is what we tend to keep for the whole next year. So, for example, if you start the holidays at, say, 195 pounds, and through all that you're loosening the belt and you get up to 200 pounds, then throughout the course of the next year, typically what's going to happen is you're going to have that starting point of 200, and then you're going to fluctuate up and down, okay, from that 200, because at January 1, that was kind of your starting weight, right? So then what's going to happen is when you roll back around to next Halloween, Thanksgiving, and the holiday season, you're going to start at 200 pounds. and then you're going to gain 3 or 4 or 5 pounds. Then you're going to be 205. That's going to be your new starting point, and then the cycle starts over, and then the cycle starts over, and then the cycle starts over. You see what I'm saying? And so that's so many times the weight that we gain during the holidays is the weight that tends to stay with us. Now, do we lose some of that during the year? Maybe. Do we gain it back? Maybe, right? But it seems like that number that we gain during the holidays is what sticks with us. So think about this: if uh, if you gained 2 pounds a year from age 25 to 35, right? And that's the let's just use 2 pounds. Let's use 2.5 because the studies I've seen are go from 1 to 5, right? And some people say 10, but I think that's kind of crazy. The scale might show 10, but we all know that a lot of that's just water weight and it's not true weight gain. Okay, so let's just use 2.5. So let's take 10 years times 2.5 pounds. That's 25 pounds. So think about if at age 25, if you were about 175 pounds, and at age 35, what are you? Maybe about 200 pounds? So the math tends to work about what you gain during the holidays is what you end up with all year round. So it's Christmas. It's the gift that keeps on sticking to you, right? So anyway, I just think that's very interesting. But so what can you do about it? What are some things you can do to navigate the holidays? I've got several good tips. We're going to go through them pretty quick, but I want you to focus in on some of these things. I want you to think about, hey, I see that Richard and Shane and Julie are all joining us. That's awesome. Appreciate you guys joining us tonight. So, but what can you? Hey, Michelle Roman, what's up? So glad you're with us too. So what can you do? Pay attention to what you're eating. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I think what happens during the holidays, I'm going to talk more about this in a minute, but what happens during the holidays is we just stop paying attention to what we're eating. We just go, 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 go. Eat, 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 eat. And I don't know why that is. I mean, there are a few things that we only cook around Christmas time, but first of all, and hey, I'm a big believer in moderation, right? Everything in moderation. You can't totally deny yourself. Most of us don't have that kind of willpower. So first of all, what's the rule that says, think about, I think a great example of this is pumpkin pie, right? What's the rule that says you can only bake pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving, right? So if pumpkin pie is your weakness at Thanksgiving, and I know we're past Thanksgiving, but it's just a great example. If pumpkin pie is your weakness at Thanksgiving, and you overindulge because it's the only time of year you get it, here's a tip. Eat it some other time during the year. Make a pumpkin pie on July 4th. Make a pumpkin pie some other time. And I know that sounds kind of crazy. I'm sitting here telling you to make desserts. But sometimes the reason that we splurge during the holidays is because we think, hey, we're not getting this any other time of the year. So I just want to debunk that, first of all. Okay? So think about your appetizers. So when you go in, if you can skip appetizers altogether, skip them because they're typically empty calories, lots of carbs and fats. And you know what happens when you start eating carbs and fat together? I mean, the carbs make your insulin spike, and insulin's a fat storage hormone, and boom, you're storing fat, right? And then sometimes appetizers actually can make your appetite grow. And so you end up eating more, which sounds kind of backward because you think your stomach would be full, but it's not. Load up on the veggie and protein options. So when you're going down that smorgasbord, when you're somewhere where you're going to pick out what you eat, go ahead, load up on the veggies and proteins. That's going to fill you up better and it's going to fill your plate out with fewer calories than anything else. This isn't rocket science, guys. I know this, but maybe, just maybe, when you show up at that Christmas party and you're trying to decide between a big old serving of mashed potatoes and whatever protein option they have, maybe you'll think back to this and go, let's do the protein. Because here's the deal, y'all. Once you eat it, and you might enjoy it for a few minutes, it's gone. It's gone. So why not do the things that are better for you? If you're the chef, if you're actually doing some of the cooking, make some simple swaps. Do some things where you reduce calories in the things that you're cooking. I promise you, if you Google something like simple cooking swaps for the holidays, you're going to come up with, you're going to spend more time on Pinterest than we care to imagine, really, okay? Sauces are dangerous. Sauces, if something's got just some kind of sauce ladle all over it, it's probably, that sauce is probably super high in calories, so be careful about that. And desserts are everywhere, right? At least that's what it feels like during the holidays. So just be aware that that's going to happen. And hey, here's the deal. Heather says, but they put the veggies next to the cookies. I just saw that. That's so wrong. They shouldn't do that. But anyway, about desserts, hey, everything in moderation, just as long as you've planned for it. We're going to talk about that in a minute, actually. The next is, okay, you've got to focus on what you're eating, and you've got to go in with a plan. Things like, no appetizers, if at all possible. Load up on veggie and protein options because there's going to be plenty of carbs out there. Make the simple swaps, those kind of things. You got to pay attention to those things. Because, see, the reason I use the words pay attention is because, again, that's a mindset thing. Because during the holidays, we end up just not paying attention to what we're doing. We just kind of float through, and because somebody brings it and sits it in front of us, it's the holidays and we eat it, right? So start paying attention. Hey, that's a tip. Y'all, hear me on this. That's a tip in life, period, to be successful at anything is if you just kind of float along and accept what happens to you, you're always going to end up average and ordinary or even less than. Right? But if you pay attention to what's going on, if you create your own deal, if you create your own destiny, then you're going to rise above. And that's really what this is about. It's about proving that we can rise above. Anyway, sorry about get off topic a little bit there. Pay attention to what you're drinking. Okay, so what's going on? Uh-oh, Santa Claus. Anyway, water is your friend. The great thing about water is if you chug some water right before you go into a party or something like that, at that point, you're going to feel a lot more full, right? And the other great thing about water being your friend is that it's also going to flush a lot of those extra calories that you're eating and the water weight and all that stuff that comes with a buildup with all this holiday food. Okay, alcohol is dangerous. Now, that's kind of an interesting and a loaded comment there. Alcohol is dangerous, but see, here's the deal with alcohol. There's a lot of things about it that are dangerous, and we won't get into the social implications potentially of the danger of alcohol. But let's talk about one, your body doesn't metabolize alcohol from a caloric standpoint. So what happens is instead of burning fat or protein or things like that, it chooses to burn alcohol first. So you're not going to be burning and definitely not losing weight if you're drinking too much alcohol. And that's true year round. That's not just true at the holidays. So alcohol is dangerous in that way. The other thing about alcohol is once you've had a couple, you lose a little bit of focus, right? And so you're so much more likely to eat more when you've had some alcohol. You lose the ability to make good decisions sometimes, right? So at that point, you start eating more, then you drink more, and alcoholic drinks many times, most of the time, are very calorie filled, which is the next point. Limit the holiday drinks to one of your favorites at a party, okay? Here's the deal. Holiday drinks or fruity drinks or any drinks like that typically are very high in sugar content, okay? The reason it tastes so good is because it's got a lot of sugar in it. Because alcohol by itself, it doesn't taste good, right? So now, if you're to the point where alcohol by itself does taste good, maybe we need to have a different webinar about that. But anyway, with that, so what can you do? Tip number 3, pick your day. So this gets into a real practical tip that I love to give around the holidays each year. So pick your days of exercise. Pick the ones that you're going to, the days that you're definitely going to exercise. Go ahead, put it down on the calendar and say, I know I'm going to exercise these days. Here's the deal. If you're exercising, you're less likely to overeat because you don't want to ruin that exercise. If you're exercising, your brain is firing better. And so you're going to make better decisions when you show up at parties. Exercise through the holidays is so important. Even if you don't end up losing weight during the holidays, if you're exercising, at least you're putting it out there, okay, that you are still doing something for yourself and about your health. Pick your cheat days. Okay, we know there are going to be certain days. We know there are going to be certain parties that we're going to choose to indulge a little bit. Okay, and I get that. I'm not crazy enough to think that I'm not going to do it. So I'm not going to expect you to do it, right? But then the rest of the days, eat like normal. Now, for some of you, normal, I don't know. Maybe you need a new normal, right? Some days I need a new normal. Okay, but when I say eat like normal, the rest of the days, don't spend. Today's December the 1st, right? So don't spend all of the next 31, 32, 33 days until you go back to work at the new year just eating like crazy the whole time. Pick a few days to indulge, be okay with that, and then move forward, okay? So I encourage you to get out a calendar that looks something like this. I don't know what year this is from, but it was just an example of a calendar in December. For every day that you're going to exercise, mark an E on the calendar. Put this somewhere where you can see it. Hey, I'm telling you, I want you to physically actually do this, okay? This is going to help you if you do this. Put it somewhere where you can see it. Put an E on every day you're going to exercise, and then pick which 2 or 3 or maybe even 4. Gosh, maybe that's a lot. Pick which 2 or 3 or 4 days that you know that you have something planned already. You've got a party. You've got some scenario where you're probably not going to stay as focused that day. Okay, and go ahead and put a red X on it, and just throw in the towel on that one, right? And be okay with it. Because I'm telling you, 2 or 3 or 4 days throughout the course, if you're exercising, okay, I just put ease on a few of these days. Obviously, you should exercise more than just the first week of December, okay? 5 to 6 days a week. And on the 7th day, God rested, and that's why we made yoga, right? So, so you can do that, okay? So that's something you can do. But anyway, if you exercise 4 to 6 days a week, 5 to 6 days a week throughout the month, and if you only pick 3 or 4 days that you are going to allow yourself to indulge, you're going to have a great month, first of all. But second of all, you're not going to gain weight. 3 or 4 days throughout the whole month isn't going to blow you up. Now, for the day or two after one of the cheat days, yeah, the scale's going to look like you gained some weight, right? But it's okay. You're going to make it through, okay? So, do this. It's practical. It's doable. Just put this calendar together. Put it somewhere where you can see it, okay? I promise it's going to help. All right, so here's the 4th thing you can do. Fill your salad plate. So use a salad plate instead of the big plate for your meal, okay? And that's going to automatically reduce your portion size. Even on the cheat day, do this. Because here's the truth. Most of the time, we can fill up for what's on the salad plate. I mean, that will actually fill us up. And if we do that, and if we wait 20 or 30 minutes, we'll go, you know what? I'm full. I'm good. I'm okay, right? So, no starving yourself, right? That's actually worse for you, all right? You might go, well, I want to starve myself because I want to prepare for those calories. Well, your body, then the next time you eat, it's grabbing onto everything it can and it's storing it because, see, we're made really to preserve life. So the way our bodies are made is if we're not eating, the next time it gets food, it's made to hold on to it. Okay, so we want to make sure we're not starving, and that's just going to make you hangry, and the holidays are not going to be fun if you do that. All right, so those are the 5 tips. Here's tip number 6. Okay, and tip number 6 is the mindset tip. We've already talked a lot about mindset on some of these things, but the thing I wanted to talk to you about your mindset is I want you to think about the future. Okay, so many times we think about the past, and that's what causes us to get into a place where we overeat. And then so many times we think about the present and just how we want to feel good in the moment, right? And food can kind of do that for us. I agree. I get that. Okay, but I want you to think about the future. And there are 3 aspects of the future I want you to think about. Okay? Think about the immediate future. And by that, I mean, and this one's super practical, okay? So when you're at that party and you're trying to avoid the appetizers, like we talked about earlier, right? You do need to avoid those appetizers. But think about it this way. If I avoid the appetizers, then I can have the dessert. And that's kind of the immediate future. That's the right now, okay? So if I choose not to do this, I can have this instead of just piling everything on. So that's the immediate future because that's what's going to happen right now. And, part of the deal is I understand sometimes the immediate future, if you eat all that, you kind of feel good and you feel full and you feel satiated or whatever that word is, right? But then I want you to think about the later future. What does that mean, the later future? I'm talking about later that same evening. So we talked about alcohol, we talked about overeating. In the moment, it's fun, it's good, it feels great. And then along about 11 o'clock, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, whenever it is, all of a sudden your stomach starts rumbling, you're wishing you never ate that, you're getting acid reflux, you're coughing in the middle of the night, you're wondering why you're coughing because you don't have a cold, but you're coughing because there's acid coming up your throat. That's gross, right? The next morning you wake up. This is the later future. This is like a small time frame, right? You wake up the next morning and you're all bloated and you feel cruddy, right? Think about that before you do it. Think about this right now. I mean, how many of you can relate to that idea that you feel crappy after you eat like that. Now, in the moment, it feels good. In the moment, having some of those drinks feels good. It feels nice. And then, like I say, the middle of the night rolls around, you're feeling bad. The next day, you're feeling bad. And then it ruins the whole next day. And it may even ruin the whole next couple of days while you're flushing all that junk back out of your system. So, even on those cheat days, think about, what am I going to feel like tomorrow? Is this 5 minutes, this 10 minutes of overindulgence worth ruining my next 2 or 3 or 4 days? Just think about that, right? And is that what the holidays are really even supposed to be about? All right, and then I want you to think about the future. All right, so what do I mean by the future? All right, January 1st. So most of us probably don't start on January 1st, January 2nd, January 3rd, whatever it is, the future. How many of you can relate to the fact that you got down to a certain point as it relates to your weight and your health, and you got to a point where you were going, okay, this is good. I'm heading in the right direction. I may not be at my goal weight yet. Maybe I hit my goal. And then something happened, and you slowly started to creep back up. Or what about that point where you were disappointed with where you were? You lost 15 or 20 pounds, but you wanted to lose 40. And now you put those 15 or 20 back on. What would you give just to have those 15 or 20 still gone, right? That's the future. That's what I want you to think about. Because what's going to happen if you get to that point, you're going to look back to this day. If you're 10 pounds more come January 1st, you're going to look back to this day and you're going to go, man, I wish I was where I was on December the 1st. I wish that right now I was where I was on December the 1st. So think about that future as you're making those decisions, okay? So how many of you feel like, so those are the tips, that's the mindset, thinking about the future, making sure you're paying attention to your life, paying attention to what you're doing, not getting hangry, no starving, fill your salad plate, all those things, right? Make your stinking calendar, all right? Do it. Put it where you can see it to hold yourself accountable. But how many of you can relate to this? A holiday miracle would be still fitting into my clothes after the holidays, right? I know that I can totally relate to that. I feel like it'd be a miracle if I could. Anyway, so think about this. A smart person says, I need help, right? A smart person says, you know what? I want to navigate this. I want to get through this time. I want, at the end of this holiday season, to look back and go, this is the first December ever that I did not gain weight. How cool would that feel? How awesome would that be? The first ever, right? So this is what we're doing, okay? I've got a website, started a website not too long ago called betonyourhealth.com. And I'm going to invite you to join. It's still actually in a beta test. So if you decide to hop on board with us, you're going to have to say, yeah, I understand it's in beta. And you actually have to have a referral. You can put me. It'll ask for my name and my email address. Of course, you can put Joe and joemccamey@gmail.com. All right? So here's the way it works. We're going to have 3 challenges in the month of December. And you must register and do your weigh-in by December the 5th. The weigh-in actually happens at home. You do it yourself, and you take a picture of yourself on the scale, and then you send it in online. And it's super simple. There'll be instructions on how to do that. And we've got a weight loss challenge. If you're going to lose 3% of your weight, if you commit, you know what? Forget it. I'm not just maintaining, I'm losing weight this month, right? How awesome is that? So I'm going to take the challenge. I'm going to lose 3% of my weight. So what's 3% look like? If you weigh 200 pounds, 200 times 0.03, that's how you figure it up, is 6 pounds, okay? So take whatever weight that you are, and then basically you multiply by 3, then move the decimal point over 2, and that's how much weight you're going to have to lose. There's a calculator online when you register that helps you figure it out, okay? 3%. And you have to put up $30 for that. Now you can do 1, 2, or all 3 of these. It doesn't matter. You can do them all 3. You can do just 1. You can do 2. You can do whatever combination you want. Then we have the Weight Maintainer Challenge. Okay. Now the Weight Maintainer Challenge is exactly what it sounds like. You're going to do the weigh in. You're going to do the weigh out. And as long as you maintain your weight, you're going to get your money back. That's really not even what we talked about yet. But that's the way the Weight Maintainer Challenge works. And then we've got the 1,000-minute exercise challenge. So those of you guys that are going, you know what? I'm down. I'm gonna make this happen. but I need a little motivation to make sure I keep exercising, right? So you've got the 1,000-minute exercise challenge. That one's $10, right? So here's the way it works. If you lose the 3%, if you participate in the weight loss challenge and you lose your 3%, you get your money back. If you do the weight maintainer challenge and you maintain your weight, you get your money back. If you do the 1,000-minute exercise challenge, you do your 1,000 minutes, report it in the appropriate time frames, you get your money back, right? How cool is that? So that's the way it works. If you guys have any questions, I'm glad to answer some questions. Here's the best part, though. So go ahead and throw your questions out there if you've got any about it. But here's the best part. If there are some people that happen to be not as focused and they do not meet their goal, guess what happens to the money? The money is then proportionally split up among those people who did meet their goals, right? So we are challenging you to make sure that you lose some weight or at least maintain your weight. I mean, goodness, how good would it feel if you could make it through these holidays for the first time ever actually maintaining your weight? How cool would that be? So we put these together very strategically to try to help you, okay? So now, the weight loss, the people who are splitting that money, that's the money that gets split. The weight maintainer challenge and the 1,000-minute challenge, you just get your money back. So I'll clarify that as well, okay? Just as we're going here, it's not looking like we've got any real questions as to how that works. I hope the tips have been useful for you, have been helpful for you tonight. If you want to join us with Bet on Your Health, you're going to go to betonyourhealth.com and you can read about the challenges. It explains it all there. You can also, when you get there, you can click play now. That's how you get started. You just click play now, go through the process. Super simple, super easy. It'll take you 5 minutes or less. And we're going to hold you accountable. All right. So not only that, but we also have a special Facebook group that you get to be in. Right now, I don't know if we're going to keep this going after the beta phase, but right now, you get in that Bet on Your Health support group, and even if you don't continue participating in the challenges, you get to stay in there. And so we try to have a good community atmosphere in there where we're encouraging each other, helping each other, pushing each other forward. So I hope that you join us. I've kind of kept on talking here just in case, possibly if people had any questions, but it looks like there are no questions about betonyourhealth.com. Hey, I really sincerely hope that you've gotten some value out of this tonight. Maybe some mindset shift going on for you and thinking about the future. Maybe some mindset shift in terms of just all the way that you're going to handle the holidays this year. That you're going to go out there and you're going to make it happen this time. I really, really encourage you to use that calendar. Use the calendar idea. It is super useful, super helpful. So with that, I hope you guys have an awesome holiday season. If you don't join betonyourhealth.com, that's okay. We'll run it again in January. But, don't look back on this moment and go, you know what? Don't get into a situation where January 1st, you look back and go, man, I wish I was where I was on December the 1st. Because that is a whole lot better than where I am now. I hope that when you get to January 1st, you look back at December 1st and you go, I'm so glad I am where I am now and not where I was then. What a much better feeling that will be. All right. Talk to you guys later. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And I hope you join us. All right. Talk to you guys soon.